Hi everyone and welcome to TOOP TV. Today we got three of SA's finest properties, so it's a special bumper edition. We'll get inside property at Springfield, Hyde Park and Heathfield, and you'll get to see some of the best of the best. Also, Business SA's CEO, Peter Vaughan, has his say on South Australia. And don't forget, we're live and interactive. So phone us now or email us and we'll answer the questions at the end of the show. Enjoy. Well, interest rates are on the march and we're going to have a little look into that this session, so stay tuned for that. Later also we're covering pricing your property. It's going to become very important to get the price right on your property when selling, particularly as the rates move. And the inside story, we go out into the streets to talk to you about what's happening with the median house price as we crack the 400,000 mark for the first time ever. So let's go and see what you've got to say.
Apparently housing is short, there are not enough houses for the people looking at the moment. It just seems a bit ridiculous that they keep going up and up.
Shortage of quality stock, yeah.
It goes up in Adelaide when it's going down or not doing others like that in other capitals. And when they go up, well, Adelaide doesn't go up so much.
I would imagine just because they're going up all around Australia. And people are perhaps trying to buy here because it's a bit less at the moment.
Well, that's out in the streets, but here in the studio we've got a very special guest today. It's Emma Slape, who's the Corporate Affairs Manager at the Real Estate Institute of South Australia. G'day, Emma.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
Emma, you're the stats queen, and
I am. I love getting into these stats and having a really good look at what's going on in the Adelaide market.
So you've had plenty of material to work on at the moment.
Yeah, we have. We have got some pretty exciting news with the median house price hitting 405,000, which is over 50,000 higher than this time last year. So definitely a bit of activity out there in the market, Anthony.
So Emma, tell me, are we in the middle of a full-scale property boom, and how is that going to be impacted by interest rates?
Look, I don't think it's fair to say it's a boom. It's been a really interesting 12 months, as you and all real estate agents would know. There's a lot of different things that have been impacting on the market. Originally, we started off with the first home buyer grant, which really worked that lower end of the market, helped a lot of people get into their first home, which has been really good. In recent months, with the easing of the grant, we've seen that part of the market stabilise, not drop, stabilise. In recent months, we've really seen the upper end kick up. In the top 5% of sales, when I've really dug into those stats, I've found some interesting numbers which I think will really impress you, Anthony. The top 5% of the market, the median house price is now 845,000. So that's quite a jump on last year when we were looking around the $735,000 market.
About 100,000.
Yeah, so when we're looking at that large increase this time, it's definitely in the upper end that we've seen the movement.
What are the other areas looking at?
When we look at the lower 25% margin, we're up to 318,000 in there. So that's really your first home buyers, families in the outer suburbs. That's up from 284,000 this time last year. So whilst there's been a movement, it's been a lot more modest. And I think that's important for people looking to buy into the market. They know the stability's there, the long-term growth is there, and we're still pretty affordable here in Adelaide.
Now, Emma, a lot's been talked about in the press, and we're always talking about the median house price. I think it's important that we, every now and then, just explain exactly what the median is so we understand how it works.
Absolutely. I get asked that question all the time. We don't work on averages when we're looking at property prices because high and low sales can really impact that. So what we look at is the median house price, and that's the number in the middle. So if there's 100 sales in the sample size, we look at that middle 50 sale and we apply that as the median. So it takes out the highs and lows and gives a much more accurate picture of what's happening in the market.
So given the median is the middle, and given that the dynamics of the market were influenced by government intervention, which is the first home owners grant, the boost, wouldn't that explain why the median has moved so much?
Well, it did for a certain period of time last year when the first home buyer grant was there and that part of the market was very active. But see, when we drill down into these March quarter stats, we see that the movement hasn't been that great in that sector. We're seeing that the movement is much higher in the higher end of the market. So it's one of the factors that's been important in the last 12 months, but it goes into the mix of a lot of different factors.
Now, what's the influence of the East Coast, which has rebounded in with great gusto, Sydney and Melbourne in particular? Will they impact, in your view, on the Adelaide pricing?
At this stage, I'm not seeing a lot of influence from the eastern states. We have some investors coming looking for properties that are a bit more affordable, but they're nowhere near at the levels that agents told me they were, say, 5 years ago. So at the moment, we're really seeing a market driven by owner-occupier market, bit of first home buyer market, and a bit of investment. So
Now,
pretty broad.
Right, now later in the program, I'm talking about tips on pricing your property. How important do you believe it is to get the price right on your property when you're selling? Because if you're listening to this and hearing 100,000 increase in 12 months, you're hearing all of this positive and all, you know, boom-like stuff in the media, it's been a lot about it. What's the real story when it comes to selling? Yeah,
it's a really good question, Anthony. We've got an information services line at the Real Estate Institute, and it's one of the top questions we get is, I've got some information from the agent, I'm getting some feedback from my friends, who's right? What we always tell people is to work with an agent you really trust, who's got some experience, knows the local area well, and ask them to drill down into the statistics of the last 3 to 6 months. It is really critical to be looking at current market data, look at what's sold in your area and also what's on the market. There's nothing more critical than getting that number right at the start so that you can go to market and attract the right interest to sell the property in a timely fashion.
Emma, there's a lot more questions I'd like to ask, but we just want to run off now and have a look at the next segment, and we'll come back to this and we'll go through the interest rate rise in a bit more detail. But let's go and speak to and hear from Peter Vaughan, the CEO of Business SA, and see what Peter's got to say.